In 2003, Alien Resurrection was released on the quadrilogy DVD box set with a new extended version of the film. This new cut runs for 7 minutes longer than the original. It was supervised by the director Jeanette. He mentions on the DVD intro that his director's cut is in fact the original 1997 release. He made this alternative edition for the fans to experience a new version of the film and what footage was left out. I'll now go into detail about the added footage and changes to see if the special edition cut is at all an improvement over the theatrical. The beginning of the film starts totally different. Instead of seeing the opening credits playing over with Ripley's failed clones, there's a new intro with a zoom out shot of a bug. You'll be fooled into thinking it's the alien queen. You see a soldier in an outpost on watch looking real bored. He decides to squish the bug and blow it out of the straw onto the window in front of him. Apparently this was the original opening for the film. Jeanette pitched this idea to the studio, but the effects and scene wasn't completed at the time for budget reasons. I'm glad it was cut, as it was far too stupid opening for an alien film. Even the director mentioned that he was happy at the time to see it gone, as he realized it was too silly. After the surgery sequence, Ripley wakes up and grabs one of the scientist's arms and looks like she breaks it. Here you get to see a bit more of the Ripley clone's strength. When Ripley is getting taught by the scientist shows her a picture of a girl which reminds Ripley of Newt, and she starts to cry. I'm puzzled as to why this was cut out, as it's very moving and Weaver's performance is excellent. Ripley in the mess hall is longer. She asks more about how she died. Getterman explains more about her death. The writers made a mistake here when naming the prison planet from the Alien 3 as Freona 16 instead of Freona 161. The next extension is Ren telling Ripley that the Weyland-Yutani company went out decades ago and that the corporation was bought out by Walmart. The best sequence re-edited for the special edition is the introduction of the Betty crew. First we see Elgin and Hillard on the bridge piloting. You get more character development between these two, with them being in a relationship and a better understanding that they are the two main pilots for the Betty. As for when the remaining survivors make it back to the ship towards the end of the film, none of them really know how to fly the Betty, as both their pilots are dead. The next is Cole and Reese, seen as longer. Reese tells Cole a joke. You see Reese is really attracted to her. After Jonah drops a knife into Reese's leg, Cole shouts at Jonah that he's an inbred motherfucker. This also adds more resentment between the two characters. Reese then throws a screwdriver back at him. And when Jonah leaves, Reese mentions to Cole that they need to associate themselves with better people. Elgin and Perez meeting is longer. Elgin talks about Cole being severely fuckable and Reese being in love with her. Then Perez mentions to the Betty captain that his crew have to stay out of restricted areas and get into no fights. The captain just nods and acknowledges along. The extra dialogue works well. This is definitely one of the better scenes of the film. Elgin was killed off way too quickly. The sequence where the group find Purvis is longer. In the original cut they quickly agreed to take him with them. The special edition has more dialogue and argument with what to do with the victim. The first added scene is when Purvis is shouting at everyone to tell him what's inside him. Ren the scientist shouts back that he's got a parasite, a foreign element. The next added scene is Cole telling everyone that Purvis can come with the group, telling Ren that he can get the chest burster out of him later. He agrees to this. Then Jonah, who's getting sick of Cole bossing every bit around, shouts at her, "Who put you in charge?" And she shouts back, "Since you were born without balls." Reese tells him to ease up, and Christy agrees and comes around to Cole's idea to bring Purvis with them. But Christy warns Purvis that he'll shoot him if the man starts to twitch. With the discussion over, Christy tells everybody to move out. Ren ushers Purvis along. Before the group dive into the water, there's an extension with everybody checking their weapons. The soldier, DiStefano, and Christy talk to each other about guns, particularly Christy's wrist guns, which are called disposables. I'm sure this scene was cut for pacing, as it doesn't add much, but it's nice seeing these two guys taking it easy for a minute. It makes Stefano's character stand out more, as he's mostly relegated to the background for much of the story, until later when the group discover that Cole is an android. The scene also shows that he's starting to trust the Betty crew more, as by the end of the film, the soldier switches sides. The novelization mentions that he was thinking of joining the Betty crew after escaping the Onogra ship. The chapel scene has got two added moments. First is when Cole communicates with Father, the ship's computer, for longer. The next is Ripley trying to remember more of Newt. She tells Cole about the girl, but she can't remember her name anymore. The two of them also talk about dreams. Ripley mentions that she's not afraid of nightmares anymore because when she wakes up, her life is even more frightening. Again, another scene I'm amazed this was cut, as it's very eerie and moving to see more of Ripley's character come out. The alternative ending, you see the Betty ship land on Earth, with Ripley and Cole sitting on a rock. Their dialogue is extended, with Cole telling Ripley that they better get moving soon, as someone will be looking for them, and that they could get pretty lost in a place like this. I think this ending is weak, as it's more of a compromise to the original ending of Whedon's script that had the Betty crew fighting the newborn on the Earth's surface. This was never filmed for budget reasons. I think the filmmakers made the right decision with the theatrical cut, as having Earth, or at least Paris, already destroyed makes their whole effort on stopping the xenomorphs pointless. Overall, I think the extended cut for the most part is an improvement, with more time given fleshing out the characters' motives and development. Although the theatrical cut's opening cloning title sequence and the final with Ripley and Cole looking down at Earth's surface is visually and cinematically more appealing. If you could recut the theatrical opening and closing onto the special edition version, it'd be a better film. Thanks for watching.